Okay, it looks like we are live, and I just have some pretty big news here that yesterday's stream broke so many stream records for pretty much everything on this channel. Now, y'all know on the main fantasy football channel, those streams during the season, they get crazy. Every single night, you have at least 300 people there. Sometimes we got over 1,000, but that has never come close to anything on this channel before. And yesterday, the Dynasty stream surpassed 5,000 views in a day, and it had 250 people watching live. That was 100% because of all the support that y'all showed on that video. I mean, not only did y'all show support by dropping likes, leaving comments, but we had like over 100 subscribers yesterday. And also with the announcement that we were now taking this as a full-time job rather than going to graduate school, we also had like 25 people decide to support the show on Patreon. So yesterday may have been, I don't want to say the best day of my life, but it was a fantastic day. My girlfriend is tired of hearing me talk about it over and over and over again. So I just have to leave her alone, stop talking about it with her, come on and try to celebrate with y'all because y'all have been absolutely killing it lately. And I really owe y'all a massive thank you. But anyway, let's kind of get into this. Let me go over, pull up this live stream real quick. I sent out an announcement in the Dynasty chat that we were live right now. So I'm sure that we'll have some people coming in. Let me pull up this sleeper draft to make sure that we should be all good to go. And also, let me send out the link to Patreon real quick for anybody wanting to join the mock. Make sure you shoot me a DM on Patreon. And yes, I'll try to get maybe 1 or 2 people from the general chat in here on the mock draft as well. But I want to make sure that we give everybody from Patreon the first shot at it just because, I mean, those are the people that I need to do everything that I can for. Like I say all the time, I mean, that's my #1 priority and I need to continue to make it that way. But anyway, let me send this out. And also, exciting news for over on Patreon. What we have coming is we have updated rookie ADP from after the NFL draft. Now, y'all know that the majority of stuff you can find over on Patreon is behind a paywall. You have to be a member of the show. You have to be a member of the flock to access it. But no, that ADP, since it's coming from the channel where y'all are the ones participating in the mock drafts, y'all are the ones that are helping me get the data, we are just going to make that completely free. Now, it's easiest for me to put it on Patreon because a lot of people already watching the show and engaging with me are already over there. And also, I can make a post where it's not behind a paywall. So yeah, you're going to find that free ADP later today coming over there on Patreon. That way you can get a decent idea of what you're going to be expecting in your super flex rookie drafts. We don't have one quarterback ADP available just because we haven't done enough of those drafts, but we've done enough super flex drafts where we have that kind of set at this point. But anyway, let's send this out. Okay, so Michael's asking, is this going to be a Superflex tight end premium mock draft? Yes, sir. You better believe this is going to be a Superflex tight end premium. Let me run over, grab the link to the mock draft. That way we can start getting this filled. I can send it out to those people DMing us over on Patreon. And also, I should probably title this mock draft Superflex tight end premium. That way everybody's on the same page. That way when you're watching this and maybe you don't hear me make that announcement, you already know. Okay, so we got that. Let's grab the link. Let's run over to Patreon real quick. Send these links out. Okay, so perfect. We have a ton of people DMing us. Let's get this going. And yeah, I just want to give everybody a massive thank you. And while we kind of have to sit here and wait for a minute or two before this fills, please, what I need from y'all is I need some help. Okay, 2 things here. Y'all know that since we're graduating, we are most likely going to be leaving Austin. My family moved to Florida, and if I'm not going to go and get an actual job, if I'm not going to go to graduate school, I can live anywhere. So I am actually going to be moving to Florida. So because of that, we are going to get a place where I can have a full-on studio. We're going to have an entire room just dedicated for this channel and for me to make videos, for me to stream, just to bring y'all the highest quality possible. So because of that, we are going to have so many chances to have exciting things with the show. If you have any ideas, I need to hear it. Even if you're not supporting the show on Patreon, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Discord. I can't guarantee I'm going to see your DM over there. Of course, if you're a member of the show on Patreon, shoot it there. You know I read all of those DMs. But regardless, please, if you have any ideas for the studio, maybe if you want to send something in and you can get something on the wall, that's something we can do because I want to make this a little bit more engaging. But anyway, we sent a good amount of DMs in. Okay, JN, super happy that you were out here as well. Okay, sent that. Okay, so let's read the general chat real quick. I believe we only have like 2 or 3 spots left in this mock draft, but we can wait just a few minutes for someone to send that through. Okay, Dead Pulse is saying, send me the link over on Patreon. I got you, my man. Okay, so let's go through. And JN saying, like the video. Yes, sir. Butthead says, a dude can live anywhere in the world now and picked Florida. Yes, sir. I mean, if you're looking at some cities in Florida, they are very, very appealing. I mean, they have downtown centers that are almost as equivalent to Austin, and it's cheaper, and my family's there. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of an easy decision. Okay, so let's go through. Ian says, I need that rookie ADP. Yes, sir. I mean, literally our ADP guy, Jake, has already sent to us. He sent it to us this morning, but I've just been so busy. I haven't had a shot to post it on Patreon. I promise you, I will be doing that later today. Okay, so let's see. Gus, it says, just got Trey Lance and Travis Etienne in my rookie draft. Super stoked. Man, I am very happy for you. You know, those are going to be two guys that I am drafting everywhere. Okay, so let's go through. Zedbout says, feel a little bit better about second-round running backs now. Sermon and Carter should be solid middle running back twos now. I'll say that with Trey Sermon. Michael Carter Jr., I can't get behind that, though, but Trey Sermon, definitely. Jonas says, starting a league with my redraft league, is Superflex tight end premium the best roster settings? Yes, I definitely think you need to do Superflex, because if you're not doing Superflex and you're not doing tight end premium in fantasy, really that makes it where there are only two positions that are valuable between running back and wide receiver. Now that's a little bit boring. I would definitely prefer trying to balance out the positional value. And I mean, if you think about it, in the real life NFL, running backs really don't matter, and quarterbacks drive Super Bowls. So why in fantasy are you playing in formats where running backs are the most important position, yet the quarterback doesn't really mean anything? So no, definitely make it super flex. That way you can get some fun stuff going. Okay, so let's go through. And JN says, big news, dad's brain tumor has grown very little, won't need surgery for at least a year. Man, I am very, very, very happy for you, JN. Guys, please spam the chat. Say, congrats, JN. Very happy to hear that your dad's doing well. Man, that honestly probably made my day significantly better. But please, guys, spam the chat congratulating JN. And I think that we should get this mock draft going in about 30 seconds. Let me just see if we have any other spots for the mock. Okay, so it looks like we actually have 2 spots left. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this. I have a crap ton to do this week. I have 2 research papers due. I have 4 exams, so I'm praying that we even graduate depending on how we do on those. So let's just get this link out in the general chat for the people coming out to the live stream very early on. People subscribe to the channel, have their notification bells hit. They can come out and they can grab these last 2 spots. Okay, so that is sent. That should be filled. And yeah, let's get this going. Going to be very fun here. Okay, so switch it back over to Sleeper. Let's just make sure that I have all my windows in order. That way y'all can see the draft board rather than just seeing everything else that I have pulled up. Yeah, JN, I'm very happy for you, my man. That is great news. And JN, I promise you, we are going to go to 6th Street. We are going to do something in Austin before I leave. That is a guarantee. But let's pull this up real quick. Seth is saying, yo, Mason, I shot you a few messages on Patreon when you get a chance. Yes, sir, I will definitely go through and I'll definitely read those for you, my man. But let's begin this draft. We are going to be picking from the 106. That way we can go through and we can just make sure we always have a pick and range. We can always be tracking the board and seeing what value I think is best. And I want to remind everyone, this is Superflex tight end premium. So even if the ADP is messed up, it looks like there are no quarterbacks at the top of the board. That's just because Sleeper has that problem. That's nothing to do with how you should actually be drafting. But Mahomes and CMC going off the board at 101 and 102. This is very standard. I think this is something you should expect in the majority of drafts. Now, like I said, yeah, I love Saquon Barkley. I think maybe we would prefer Saquon Barkley over Christian McCaffrey, but based on the dynasty community value that both running backs represent, I think that honestly, even if I personally would rather have Saquon Barkley a little bit more, given the fact that as soon as you make that draft pick, you're going to be losing out on dynasty value throughout the course of the offseason that you could possibly have with trade. I think if you're actually on the clock yourself, you should probably be taking Christian McCaffrey. Okay, but anyway, Josh Allen then going off the 104 next to Kyler Murray. That is standard. Okay, Barkley going off the 105. So we're sitting here and we're pretty much looking at quarterback or running back. So we're going to be looking at one of Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, obviously not Deshaun Watson with everything going on. Justin Herbert. Herbert is a winner from the NFL draft, given the fact that they got Rashawn Slater with that first-round pick. That should definitely help Justin Herbert. Russell Wilson, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence. Honestly, I think that given the quarterbacks that are going to be available on the way back. I think we go running back here. I think we get a running back on his rookie contract, a guy that looks like a prototypical workhorse, a guy that's way better than any running back that was in the 2021 NFL draft. Let's get Jonathan Taylor there. Yeah, and so, of course, we would rather have Saquon Barkley, but no, that's not how it's going to go. Let's get JT. Completely fine with that as our first-round pick when we know that we can get one of those intriguing quarterbacks on the way back, especially with those rookies looking so good. Okay, so let's go and see if we have anything else in the general chat. Nope, but everybody is spamming congrats, JN. Yeah, that is awesome. Thank you guys so much for being so positive. And JN is up on the clock at the 107. He takes Cam Akers, a bold call, getting another running back on their rookie contract that does look like a 3-down guy. Let me know what y'all think of this. Of course, you have Detroit as an offense that should see a massive upgrade at quarterback with Matthew Stafford. Hopefully, Tutu Atwell, while he may not be good for fantasy football because he is a very small wide receiver, maybe he just creates more space for this team underneath given his elite speed. And that's why possibly you saw the Rams kind of reach on him in the second round. But hopefully that helps Cam Akers there at the 107. I don't know if we would have gone that with ourselves, but I understand the process there if you don't necessarily feel the need to draft a quarterback in the first. Yeah, Talon coming out says great Cam pick. Okay, so it looks like people in the general chat like the Cam Akers pick. I mean, Cam Akers was someone that was going in the mid-second at the beginning of the offseason, and I do not think that you should expect to see him be a mid-first-round pick in the majority of your startups, but definitely if you're looking across the Patreon Flock Dynasty Leagues, he's been creeping up into being that late first-round pick, and I think that he should, honestly, with Matthew Stafford coming in. Okay, JN says first pick in and Mason snipes me. Yes, sir. I mean, Jonathan Taylor was easily the best value on the board at that point. But anyway, you see some quarterbacks going off with Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Dak Prescott. Now, let me know what y'all think of Burrow. Let me know if y'all think that with Cincinnati deciding to pass on offensive line and take Jamar Chase in the first, if that helps Burrow, if it's a little bit neutral. I think that, honestly, it would have been best case scenario if they got Kyle Pitts going in there. But regardless, that's not what happened. What happened is they got Jamar Chase. So please let me know what y'all are thinking, because Burrow was someone that was going in the middle of the second or early second round before the NFL draft. Let me know if y'all think that he is going to be rising into the late first, or is this just something that we are seeing? Okay, Joseph is saying, not going to lie, I still prefer Swift to Akers. Man, here at the running back position, it's just a little bit hard to say that when we know running backs are so dictated by the overall offensive situations that they're in. I mean, if you're looking at both Swift and Akers, you could sit here and you can make an argument that DeAndre Swift is a more talented running back. I want to remind everyone, going into the 2020 NFL draft, we had DeAndre Swift as our running back one before the NFL draft happened. Obviously, he lands in Detroit, not necessarily the best situation. But regardless, I am on record saying that I think DeAndre Swift is a more talented running back than Cam Akers. Yet, who would I rather have in Dynasty? I would most likely rather have Cam Akers, given the fact that he is playing in a much more productive offense. And if you're looking at that, it definitely matters for the amount of attempts you should expect a running back to have in the red zone, as well as just sustained drives in general at the running back position. But anyway, you have Trevor Lawrence going off the board at the 204 as the first rookie. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence always going to be the first rookie. He was going about in this range before the NFL draft. Sometimes you're going to see him up there at the 108, 109 instead of the Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. It's just that is one long, big tier at the end of the first, beginning of the second. So I think it's pretty much all standard there. And of course, I need to point out the fact that you have not seen a wide receiver go off the draft board. And if you're new to the flock, you're probably a little bit surprised here by seeing this. But no, if you participate in enough dynasty startup drafts, you understand that when you can get a CeeDee Lamb in the late third, early fourth, maybe sometimes late fourth, it just makes so much more sense to go through and actually get your running backs and your quarterbacks in a Superflex league at the very beginning, guaranteeing you have those cornerstone assets. Okay, but anyway, if we were looking at the quarterback position right now, I think the best value on the board is, I'm actually not going to say his name because I'm going to pray that he comes back to us in the third round. If we're looking at the running backs, you have Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, Ezekiel Elliott, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Wide receivers, you have guys that honestly I'm probably not going to be paying too much attention to. Let me make sure I'm not missing any running backs before we decide to draft our player. And I'm going to be taking someone where it's going to look a little bit like a reach. I understand that. But given the fact that there's going to be such a sharp drop-off at the position, and I have him in his own tier, we are going to be taking George Kittle as the tight end one in a tight end premium format. Now, y'all remember in the most recent Flock Patreon Dynasty League, I actually pulled the 101, and this was a startup that happened right before the NFL draft, and I ended up taking Patrick Mahomes, George Kittle, and Travis Kelce to start the draft. That one was also tight end premium. So, of course, you're not going to be seeing George Kittle go this high in every single draft, but I love Kittle. I mean, if you look at him, he's still young, and he is an elite producer every single time he's on the field. So, yeah, we're going to be taking Kittle there. Hopefully, we can make some exciting things happen later on in the third or the fourth. Okay, JN said, just wanted to get my guy, kind of ignored ADP. Yeah, at this point, I mean, ADP is not something you can look at, but we get sniped. Trey Lance going there at the 208. I mean, I probably should have just taken Trey Lance and prayed that George Kittle fell back to us at the 306, but I've seen some conversations on Twitter as of late where people are going, hey, would you rather have Justin Fields or would you rather have Trey Lance? And I'm sitting here, I'm going, man, how stupid are you? Like, are you kidding me? Like, Trey Lance is easily the answer out of Trey Lance versus Justin Fields, and I am willing to be aggressive. Y'all know that I rarely ever make fun of anybody. I rarely ever call anybody stupid because I think that you have to view everything as a range of outcomes type scenario, and a lot of the times you're just betting on probabilities, and it's very hard to determine what is actually more probable. But the bet of Trey Lance versus Justin Fields is so clear, and it's so easy to make the correct decision, where you're looking at the quarterback position in fantasy, and if you were smart, you understand that you're not smart enough to evaluate these quarterbacks coming into the NFL. If you really are honest with yourself and you are a human that goes, you know what? No, I'm not working in an NFL front office. No, I have not interviewed these quarterbacks. No, I have not seen them in practice. All I've done is watch some all 22 tape on YouTube. All I've done is listen to some people on Dynasty podcasts where they really don't know what they're talking about either. If you're smart enough to realize that and you go, okay, so with these quarterbacks in Dynasty, what do we need to do? We need to, A, trust the NFL, because we've seen that historically draft capital is the most predictive thing of quarterback success at the NFL level. But you can't stop there, because obviously we're not just predicting what quarterbacks are the most talented. No, that's not what you're doing in Dynasty Fantasy Football. You're going, okay, A, we need to see what the NFL thinks of these quarterbacks in the NFL draft. And obviously in the NFL draft, you see that, I mean, Trey Lance has a much higher grade than Justin Fields. And I think that this is easy to see with the team investment made in by the San Francisco 49ers to trade up to that third overall pick. And Justin Fields makes it all the way down there to either 10 or 11, right next to where San Francisco was picking in the first place. And then also you have to go, what is the situation that they're stepping into? I mean, are they going to be able to succeed in this situation? Are they set up for success or set up for failure? And in the case of Trey Lance, you simply have never seen a quarterback going to a better situation in the NFL. I mean, you have never seen a quarterback drafted in the top 5 overall picks going to an offense that has George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, a great offensive line, combined with one of the best offensive-minded coaches in the entire NFL. So I know y'all are tired of hearing me talk about Trey Lance. I understand that this is something we've spent way too much time on as of late, but I am going to stand up here and I'm going to continue to say, if you are arrogant enough to think that you are so good at your quarterback evaluation that you go, I am this confident that I am going to have Justin Fields over Trey Lance, I'm going to ignore what the NFL thinks. Not only with that, I'm going to ignore the situations they're going into. Not only with that, I'm going to ignore the fact that Trey Lance was a much more productive rushing quarterback in college, which definitely translates over to fantasy points. You are making a horrible bet. You are doing something that is so stupid. And I knew that some people would be doing that this offseason, but I didn't know that this was actually something that a lot of people were going to be thinking about. So I know I rarely ever say anybody's stupid. I know I rarely ever come on and am kind of aggressive on here. But no, in the case of drafting a quarterback like Justin Fields with everything we know at this point over Trey Lance, it's incredibly stupid. And this is coming from someone who had Justin Fields ranked ahead of Trey Lance going into the NFL draft. Yet I am not arrogant enough to go, hey, it matters so much what I thought about before that we need to stick with that evaluation. No, we're smart enough to go, hey, we're stupid. We're just playing Dynasty Fantasy Football. We're not in a front office. We are not actually getting to talk to these quarterbacks. So I know that's annoying. I know you don't want to hear me talking about that, but it's one of the most frustrating things ever. And here at the 306, we are going to be taking the first wide receiver off the board in A.J. Brown. Now, A.J. Brown Also, a quiet winner from the NFL draft where you don't see the Tennessee Titans going and getting an Elijah Moore. You don't see them going and getting a Rondale Moore, because with A.J. Brown, he was always a wide receiver that's went off of elite efficiency in his first 2 years in the NFL. Now he's going into year 3. Corey Davis is gone. Jonnu Smith is gone. They bring in Josh Reynolds, who profiles to be more of a field stretching wide receiver, not someone going to see a lot of targets. And you go, hey, A.J. Brown, someone who has historically went off of efficiency, is now going to step into a role where maybe he sees a Davante Adams type target share from 2020, or maybe a Michael Thomas type target share from 2019. So yeah, A.J. Brown, very exciting wide receiver. He has the talent. He's stepping into a situation where he can see that Davante Adams type target share. So you have to easily look at him and go, he's the dynasty wide receiver 1, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people are going to have Justin Jefferson over A.J. Brown based on Justin Jefferson having a historic rookie season at the wide receiver position. But let me know what y'all are thinking. I would rather just go with the guy I've seen for 2 years. And here, Justin Fields going at the 308. I'm fine with Justin Fields at the 308. I don't want to come out here and act like I'm trashing Justin Fields. I'm more so just really wanting people to understand that Trey Lance is a lot closer to Trevor Lawrence with how he projects from a dynasty fantasy football perspective compared to Justin Fields. So I'm fine if you're taking Justin Fields in the late third of a dynasty startup, but I want to make sure that people understand that there's a big difference between him and Fields, and that needs to be the case. Okay, so also, I want to give everyone a massive thank you. We are closing in on 50 likes for the live stream. That is absolutely massive. JN says, Mason keeps sniping me. Yeah, man, A.J. Brown, in my opinion, was clearly the value on the board there at the 306. Now, if you're trying to look at this in terms of the value of rookie picks, this is something that I've kind of dealt with in some of these Flock Dynasty Patreon leagues, where I've been holding the rookie pick 103, 104, and someone offers me, is saying, hey, Mason, what will you add to the rookie pick 103 for my A.J. Brown? And I'm sitting here going, well, you know what, man? Yeah, I agree. A.J. Brown, he has an elite ceiling. He is my dynasty wide receiver 1. But at the same time, why would I add anything to the rookie pick 103 in a Dynasty Superflex League to go get A.J. Brown? Because here, if you look at this mock draft, I mean, you have Trevor Lawrence, Najee Harris, Trey Lance, Travis Etienne, 4 rookies all going off the board before you see the wide receiver 1 in A.J. Brown get drafted. So that's something I want to point out, is in these Superflex leagues, you need to understand, you can say on one hand that this wide receiver X, has an elite ceiling. And on the other hand, you could still go, hey, these rookie picks are extremely valuable. We know how hard it is to get quarterbacks. We know how hard it is to get running backs. This draft should have a ton at the top. So yeah, I just want to let everybody know that there's a way that you can try to evaluate those rookie picks versus that veteran value. And it's by looking at these startup drafts. It's by looking at these actual drafts with context when you're actually having to build a team and you're going, what's more important in this scenario? The running back 2 or the wide receiver 2 in the rookie draft, or your Tyreek Hill or your DK Metcalf? So yeah, here we are going to be having A.J. Brown. And it looks like at the 309, we do have a timeout of Joe Mixon. So if Dietz times out on the way back again at the 404, I'm going to look to try to replace him. It's going to be a little bit difficult as we are doing this live. But anyway, hopefully he comes back sometime soon. I know that some people just have to leave in the middle of the mock draft to go pick up their kid. I don't know what y'all are doing. I'm just a kid that's 22 years old and a college kid. So obviously your life is completely different than mine. Okay. So Mike is coming in, says, I'd put Najee over Russell Wilson and maybe Justin Fields. Okay, so if he's talking about Najee Harris, or are you talking about Zach Wilson in rookie rankings? Because currently I actually have Najee Harris as the 103 over there on Patreon in our rookie rankings. He is behind the top 2 quarterbacks in both Trevor Lawrence and Trey Lance. But y'all know I am on record talking about how much I love Trey Lance. Now, oh my gosh, you have Javonte Williams going at the 312. This is absolutely massive. I want to point out some players that are still available on the board. If you go to the running back position, not many guys. I mean, you're looking at Aaron Jones, a Miles Sanders. You're really not looking at that many running backs that are exciting. But if you go over on the other hand, you look at wide receivers such as Davante Adams, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, that's a big deal seeing Javonte Williams go there at the 312, especially compared to some of these quarterbacks. And I really hope that we can get a quarterback on the way back. It looks like it may be possible. Obviously, JN is someone who's been seen before in these mock drafts to be willing to punt the quarterback position. Yet we have some guys between us that already have 2 at the very start of the draft. So let's see what happens. Hopefully we can come away with our quarterback 1 in the 4th round. I do have 2 guys we have our eyes on, 2 guys, in my opinion, were definite winners from the NFL draft, but let's see if they fall. Okay, so Harrison Rich asking us, should I trade Hollywood Brown and the rookie pick 206 for the 111 in a super flex format? Okay, so if you're looking at the 111 and the 206, man, to be completely honest with you, they're going to be very comparable picks. So once you get past that rookie pick 109, this is something that we talked about in the live stream yesterday. You get past that rookie pick 109 and you're looking at that massive tier of guys like Jalen Waddle, Rondell Moore, Elijah Moore, Terrace Marshall, Devontae Smith, all those wide receiver twos in the class where, yes, maybe you yourself are confident in ranking one guy over the other, but I sit there and over on Patreon when we're making our rookie rankings, that's one of the hardest things to do. It's one of the hardest things to do to rank those wide receivers that are in the range of 206 all the way to the 111. So it depends on the amount of starters in your format. I will say that, but I think that is something you need to sit there and think about. And okay, JN taking the first pick of this startup draft that I really don't like, JN. I'm going to have to rip into you here for a second for taking Mark Andrews with the 406. But first, let me make sure that we can get our pick off the board. So here I'm going to be looking at two guys. I'm not going to announce the second name. I'm just going to take our first quarterback in Jalen Hurts at the 407. And here, Jalen Hurts is not someone I would have taken at the 407 before the NFL draft because there was, in the range of outcomes, the potential for the Philadelphia Eagles to show us that they did not believe in Jalen Hurts to be their long-term starting quarterback, yet that's not what happened. Yet they traded up. They had the potential to take Justin Fields, and instead they go with a Devontae Smith. So this indicates that not only are they trying to surround Jalen Hurts with more weapons for Jalen Hurts to succeed, but also they are not too concerned about Jalen Hurts being their starting quarterback for 2021 as well as the future. So please take that in mind and understand that Jalen Hurts is another one of these quarterbacks that we're talking about that maybe isn't great for real life NFL purposes. I mean, if you're starting a real life NFL team and I'm asking you, hey man, are you going to want Jalen Hurts or are you going to want Baker Mayfield as your quarterback for this real life NFL team? I think the majority of people will go, you know what, let's just get someone coming in that we can limit mistakes with, that can most likely be accurate, and that we can run a simple offense. Let's get Baker Mayfield. He's probably going to lead to more wins at the NFL level than Jalen Hurts. But if we were talking fantasy football, where we are trying to score fake points, rushing production means so much. Now, if you check out our rookie draft guide that should be available by the end of the month over there on Patreon, we have some very exciting studies coming out and showing the importance of becoming a top 10 quarterback in fantasy in regards to your rushing production and what it does for your floor and ceiling. So because Jalen Hurts has that elite ceiling with his rushing production, I think at the 407, once you've seen the team investment made by the Philadelphia Eagles, he's going to be a pick that I'm honestly kind of excited for. Yet, now let's go to JN. Let's rip into JN a little bit here. I figured that he was going to be passing on a quarterback because we've seen him want to go 0 QB before, and we've seen it work out for him. Yet, I think the pick here of Mark Andrews is incredibly bad. Not only is it bad because you're going to have Mark Andrews available a few rounds after, not only is it bad because Mark Andrews decided to go to the University of Oklahoma, become a Sooner willingly. I mean, I don't know how you make that decision and ever come back from it. But also it's going to be bad because the Baltimore Ravens decided to significantly invest into pass catchers this offseason. Not only did they go and give Sammy Watkins an $8 million contract, the same contract that a Will Fuller got, the same contract that a Juju Smith-Schuster got. I mean, these wide receivers that were kind of high-profile guys, they significantly invested into Sammy Watkins. And then they turn around and then they go get Rashad Bateman in the first round. Then they go get Tylan Wallace in the fourth round as well. So while, yes, you can sit here and go, but Mason, they play different positions. Well, there are only going to be so many targets to go around in Baltimore. There are only going to be so many targets on a team that wants to be run first. So because of that, I do not think that we could have justified the selection of Mark Andrews in the fourth round after the NFL draft. I think that Mark Andrews is easily a loser of the NFL draft. Maybe I need to make an under the radar loser video and include Mark Andrews in there because I see what Baltimore did and I go, okay, first thought is, I mean, this is bad for Andrews. Okay. So let's go through and see if we have anything else we need to talk about. It looks like we have someone promoting their vape shop in the chat. Okay, so you're never going to get muted on this channel. Like if you make fun of me, you can come on here and you can tell me that I'm ugly. You can come on here, tell me that my voice is disgusting, that I don't know what I'm talking about. You're not going to get muted. You come on and you try to promote your vape shop. Yeah, man, I'm sorry. You got to go. You're getting the boot. Okay, so now let's go and see. Okay, we have someone saying Pitts is a reach there. Okay, so at the 412, I will say something different about what JN did at the 406 versus what you had Seth do at the 412. I am very reluctant to tell anybody that they reached on a player if you are drafting at just say the 1 or the 12 turn, because if you're there, you go, okay, we're not going to be back up on the clock for 25 picks. So at that point, we have to go, okay, so I think that we just have to get our guys, because there's no way that Kyle Pitts makes it back to the 612. And if he's in love with Kyle Pitts, maybe I don't like the value, but you can justify it and going, hey, I have no shot at him anytime later than this. So that is something that's going to be hard to say as a reach. Whereas, I mean, with Mark Andrews here, I mean, you could have got Mark Andrews at the 507. So we can easily call that a reach. Okay, now let's go through, and we get sniped on Tua. Tua was another massive winner from the NFL draft that I wanted to bring in. So now we are probably shouldn't have been talking this entire time. We probably should have been looking at the board. Now we're scrolling. Maybe we would have gone with the T. Higgins before the NFL draft, but now at this point, I think we go with a DeAndre Hopkins to be our wide receiver 2 in the 5th round. Okay, so Deadpool's coming in, says, hey man, I sent you a DM on Patreon. Okay, let me run through. I will pull that up at the end of the draft, my man. I did reply to your DM right before we went live on Patreon. I'm sorry, right before we went live on YouTube, I replied to your DM on Patreon. Maybe you shot me another one. And I promise you, hey, just type it in the general chat real quick and I can give you your answer in the general chat. I just don't want to tab off this page and make everybody else see the Patreon DMs. Okay, so Jan says between the question of Jamar Chase or T. Higgins, JN says I lean Higgins. Honestly, that is a very tough call. I think that if you were asking me, Mason, who scores more points over the next 3 years between Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, I think my answer would be T. Higgins. We've seen T. Higgins already in the NFL draft before. And also, let me change this Josh Jacobs pick. I mean, this was an auto pick, and clearly Jacobs wouldn't go in this range. I'm going to be changing this to, let's see who this guy has. Okay, so he has two running backs, 2 wide receivers. We're going to change this to Mike Evans. Mike Evans makes a lot more sense for this team, and at the same time, it's an auto pick, so I want to make sure this draft board makes as much sense as possible. Ryan Tannehill at the 510, I really love that pick. I really love Jan's pick of Zach Wilson at the 507 if you're talking about a quarterback that has a very high floor for the next 3 years, because one quick note with Zach Wilson is worst case scenario is he's Mitchell Trubisky. Worst case scenario is he's Sam Darnold. And in that worst case scenario, he is still a starting quarterback at the NFL level for the next 3 years, which is something that is going to be notable when you're trying to evaluate him in Dynasty, because obviously he has a much higher ceiling than that. We're not even talking about what's likely to happen. We're looking at the range of outcomes here. A quarterback that's drafted in the top 3, he's going to have 3 years to start at the NFL level. So Zach Wilson, worst case scenario, is still a decent pick in the middle of the 5th. So I do want to applaud that one. But anyway, what were we talking about before? Okay, yeah, we were talking about T. Higgins versus Jamar Chase. And here, if you're going, Mason, who scores more points over the next 3 years, T. Higgins or Jamar Chase? I'm probably sitting there going, you know what? It's not really easy to say. We would probably lean T. Higgins because we've seen him have success at the NFL level already, and he also had a decent prospect profile coming in, even though he wasn't close to being the prospect of Jamar Chase. You have to update your evaluation of that player once you see them hit at the NFL level. But if you go, Mason, who would you rather have in Dynasty? Would you rather have T. Higgins or would you rather have Jamar Chase? At that point, I probably would have to say that I would rather have Jamar Chase, because what you're going to find in the Dynasty market is not only the fact that Jamar Chase is already more valuable, but the second that Jamar Chase hits his rookie season, the second that you have a successful Jamar Chase season, then you are going to see his value absolutely skyrocket to then being, I don't want to say early second or a late second, just because we didn't have any wide receivers going in this range, but he will be in that same tier of an A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, just because he already has the hype coming in. He already has the hype of a wide receiver that just needs to prove very little to jump that high. And also, if you're talking about worst case scenario, what happens if Jamar Chase doesn't produce this year? What happens if T. Higgins doesn't produce this year? I mean, in the case of T. Higgins, you could see that value plummeting. You could see people going, hey, T. Higgins is not going to be anything with Jamar Chase in town, where with Chase, you would go, hey guys, please, please, please let him have a little bit more value. He hasn't played football in a year. People would be making excuses for Jamar Chase. So I want to point that out, and the fact that one value is a lot more insulated when the other one is not. Okay, JN is saying, do we want to replace Dietz? Guys, okay, to be completely honest, how would I replace Dietz? I figured that he would be back by now. Okay, once we get up on the clock, I will pause the draft real quick and see if I can replace him, if that's going to be something that's easy to do. I probably have a message over there on Patreon. We can send it to someone. Okay, so Mason says DJ Moore or Chris Godwin. They're honestly, It's tough because Tampa decides to bring back Antonio Brown, and as well, you have Carolina drafting Terrace Marshall. So both of them lost a decent amount of value. Okay, JN taking Myles Gaskin. Absolutely insane there. Okay, let's see if we can replace Dietz. Okay, I honestly don't think we can. That is very annoying. Let's just get this going, and I will manually change his picks if they are way off the board. Now we are up on the clock in the middle of the 6th. And to be honest, I don't want to do it, but I think we take T. Higgins here. T. Higgins definitely has to be a loser. I understand about the 3 wide receiver sets that so many people want to point to in Cincinnati, but still, there are only so many targets to go around. Jamar Chase does come in, and he does profile to be an alpha wide receiver. We could also go David Montgomery, and that's going to be an intriguing standpoint. Y'all know that I do not like David Montgomery. David Montgomery is someone that I actively root against, as bad as that sounds. Okay, so let's go. Y'all know I love my boy Jordan Love, but we've been stashing Jordan Love a lot later than this. Okay, so it would be down between David Montgomery and T. Higgins for us, but because of the brand, because I actively have to root against David Montgomery and how much I did not like him coming into the NFL with his limited upside, we are going to be going with T. Higgins as our wide receiver 3. And to be completely honest, I love this start. I mean, I do not think that this draft could have gone any better with us getting Jonathan Taylor as our 3-down workhorse in the 1st, then getting our tight end 1 in George Kittle in the 2nd. But those picks, I mean, those were kind of standard. I mean, I think that we would have rather seen us decide to go with the Trey Lance when it's all said and done in the 2nd round. I just thought that there was a small chance he made it back to us in the 3rd. So Jonathan Taylor, George Kittle, and then we get a staple of wide receivers that you can get very excited about in A.J. Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, and T. Higgins for our top 3 guys. And we get a quarterback with elite level upside in fantasy in Jalen Hurts with his rushing production. So yeah, I mean, I think that is fantastic. Okay, Mason saying go Monty, and not this Mason Mills in the chat. Okay, Danny says I'd take a spot. Yeah, guys, it's just a little bit too hard to go through and actually fill that. I am going to write down the fact that he did time out because I want to make sure we are keeping track of people that are doing that. Hopefully he shoots me a DM over on Patreon explaining why that happened. Okay, so Legacy says running backs always have more value, and Lance has huge upside. I have no idea what that is in regards to. Someone is asking, is this super flex? Yes, 100% this is super flex. You would not see any quarterbacks going in the 1st round of a 1-quarterback dynasty startup draft. And if you did see that, you could immediately mark whoever took that quarterback as a straight up fish, as they have no idea what's going on. So no, this is super flex. This is also tight end premium. We have it labeled at the very top of the draft board. Now, Amari Cooper at the 6'11", I really love this start that we have from Cole World. I think Cole World may have our favorite start in this draft. He is building a win now team with CMC, Derrick Henry as his 2 running backs. And obviously, I don't love the value of Henry in the 3rd, but if you were going to decide to take Derrick Henry in Dynasty, a running back that should have elite production in 2021, and beyond that, we don't have much certainty of his long-term value. You do it on this team. You do it when you're pairing him with some other veterans that should have a ton of production right away, and you're pushing in to win 2021. So I think that this is a great construction right now. If you're talking from a Dynasty strategy, I mean, getting Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry as your top 2 running backs, getting Travis Kelce in a tight end premium format, then having both Michael Thomas and Amari Cooper as your top wide receivers, Aaron Rodgers as your top quarterback. So I love that. And oh my God, the worst pick in the entire Dynasty startup world ever that could happen just went off the board right now at Michael Carter Jr. in the 6th round. Okay, guys. Now, this is going to be something that we dive into when our rookie draft guide comes out by the end of the month, like we always say. But a 4th round drafted running back has such a low hit rate despite the landing spot they're going to, despite whatever you thought about them pre-draft. Unless they have off-the-field concerns, which made them fall in the NFL draft, and that is something you can clearly point to and going, hey, this is why the NFL evaluated this running back in this range. The historical hit rate of that player is going to be so bad that you can never, and I repeat, never, I don't care if Michael Carter Jr. landed on the Kansas City Chiefs, and then you had all the Kansas City Chiefs running backs getting cut, and Andy Reid coming out and telling us Michael Carter Jr. is the most talented football player we have on the roster. He's better than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is then going to be transferring his contract over to Michael Carter Jr. Even at that point, you still could not draft him in the 6th round. Even at that point, you cannot do that. I mean, if you asked me, Mason, who's going to have the most carries between Michael Carter Jr., Tevin Coleman, and LaMichael Pirine this upcoming year, I wouldn't have a solid answer for you. I wouldn't be able to confidently tell you Michael Carter Jr. He may be a slight favorite, but a slight favorite. You cannot be taking that player over a Jerry Jeudy. You cannot be taking that player over. I mean, there are so many guys on the board, especially at the wide receiver position. Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, Rashad Bateman, a first-round drafted wide receiver. Yeah, that was a horrendous pick. I mean, Noah Fant is still available. Michael Carter Jr., that was the worst pick of the entire draft. And y'all know I'm very hesitant to say that, but that is horrible stuff. I see you in the chat. I see you saying Michael Carter Jr. is a stud. Let me break something down, man. If you look historically, and we dive into this, I prove with numbers. I give you the research done that we've been going off of for a very long time playing Dynasty in our Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide coming out soon. But what you look for at the running back position is you look for size, you look at receiving game capability, you look at the team investment by the NFL, which should indicate opportunity, and also you look at speed, which we have seen actually have a direct correlation to fantasy production at the running back position. If we go through and check those boxes with Michael Carter Jr., yes, he is a good receiving running back. He checks that box. I'm not going to sit here and argue that. Now we go, okay, does he have the size to be a 3-down guy? No, he is laughably small. He does not check that box, and that is such a big deal that it slashes his upside in half. Then we go, okay, if he's small, please, can he be Darren Sproles? Can he have some elite athleticism? Can he have some elite traits that we can look at? No, he's not fast. He's an unathletic, small running back. He is Devin Singletary. He's Devin Singletary with less NFL draft capital. I hated Devin Singletary coming into the NFL draft, and there's a reason I hate Michael Carter Jr. Okay, so now let's go through the wide receiver position. Honestly, probably should have been looking at this beforehand. It is going to be Jerry Jeudy for us here. Now, Jerry Jeudy has to be a riser. I know that we have been talking about Jerry Jeudy possibly being a sell as a few weeks ago. Sometimes I am wrong. Sometimes Aaron Rodgers comes out and he says, hey, you know what? I am not happy here. I do not want to be here any longer. I hate that Jordan Love is behind me. Get me out of here or move Jordan Love. And all of a sudden, you have a quarterback that then becomes available on the market. All of a sudden, you have the Denver Broncos having the capability of drafting Justin Fields in the NFL draft. And they go, you know what? No, we're good at the quarterback position. We're good with Teddy Bridgewater on a $3 million contract and Drew Lock, who just had one of the worst starting quarterback seasons of all time. We're going to take someone on the defensive side of the ball. And what that tells me is that there's a real shot that you have a quarterback on the move to Denver, either Jordan Love or Aaron Rodgers. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say they just brought in Teddy Bridgewater, but no, Teddy Bridgewater was brought in for a 6th-round pick. That is literally nothing, and pretty much Carolina paid his entire contract. They're paying $3 million. That is one of the lowest contracts ever for a backup quarterback. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater could be cut tomorrow, and you're not going to be expecting too much. Okay. So let's go through, and Micah says, got into some heated debates with people on IG yesterday who were saying Michael Carter Jr. over Travis Etienne. Man, honestly, I don't think it's worth debating anybody who says Michael Carter Jr. over Travis Etienne. All you need to know is as soon as someone says that, and if you're thinking that in the general chat right now, I am speaking to you directly, and I'm sorry to be an ass, but if someone says Michael Carter Jr. over Travis Etienne, you try to play in as many dynasty leagues with them as possible. You try to get as much money on the line with them as possible because they are never going to be a winning player. There is no way that they can have any process that comes close to being correct if they think an undersized, unathletic running back who lasted until day 3 of the NFL draft is better than a running back that goes on round 1 that checks every single box that you look for. So, yeah, I mean, there's nothing to say about that. If you have that opinion, I am sorry, but you don't know how to play Dynasty, and there's no way that you ever win money playing this game. Okay. So let's go. Deadpulse coming in. Deadpulse is saying Monty or the 109 in Superflex League. Haven't drafted yet, but my guy's offering is 109. Guessing either Javonte, Waddle, or Devontae Smith would be their thoughts. Man, no, you take that pick, and honestly, yes, Javonte, Waddle, and Devontae Smith, you 100% can guarantee yourself that either Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle would be there, but you're not going to take either one of those wide receivers. What you're going to be looking at with the 109 is, let's just map this out real quick. Okay, so obviously you're going to have your top 4 quarterbacks going off the board. You're going to have Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, all off the board by the time you get to that pick. You don't necessarily know what order, but it doesn't matter. You're not going to have an option at them anyway. Then you have Kyle Pitts getting drafted. If he somehow lasted the 109, you'd rather have Kyle Pitts over David Montgomery anyway, so you happily take that. Then you also have Jamar Chase. So Jamar Chase will be drafted there. That's a total of 6 players already. And then you go, okay, there are 3 top-tier running backs. You have Najee Harris, you have Travis Etienne, and you have Javonte Williams. So the rookie pick 109 is the best rookie pick that you could ever trade for, in that it is right before that massive tier of wide receiver 2s. You have your Jamar Chase, your elite wide receiver prospect. You have all three down bell cow running back prospects. You have the 4 quarterbacks with rushing upside. That's all at the 109 pick. So yes, man, please go get that pick. I'm very sorry for being unable to check that DM as we are streaming right now, but thank you so much for your support. Okay, now JN says, thoughts on Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz here, he's a tight end with limited upside. If you're talking about a deep tight end premium format where maybe you have to start 2 tight ends, then you could look at him as an option just because we know that he is going to have a role on that offense. Actually, is Blake Jarwin under contract? Can someone please confirm that with me? I do not have that off the top of my head. Y'all know pretty much anything in the NFL I know off the top of my head except the Blake Jarwin contract situation and if he will be good for week 1, because the small flash that we saw from Blake Jarwin, I would say that he would be a tight end that we would rather bet on over Dalton Schultz. But as it stands, I would be surprised if Blake Jarwin is ever a thing again, because once those average players finally get a shot, if they get injured, you rarely ever see them get that shot again. Okay, but we are about to be back up on the clock in the 8th round. So if we go through, we scroll, and we go the best available at the quarterback position, honestly, no guy stands out for me. And I know that's sad to say, but I think I would rather just wait a couple rounds and draft a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, there's nobody in this range. I'm not going to be ever the guy to take a Tom Brady, knowing that, I mean, he has no rushing upside, understanding that, I mean, what is the long-term value there? So I know that's sad to say about literally the greatest of all time, but yeah, no, I'm not going to be the guy taking the Tom Brady. Okay, so now let's go. And this is something I want to point out because I don't want people to get mad at me when I draft this player upcoming. But DJ Chark, a massive winner of the NFL draft. Now, y'all know that I got the call right that we wanted to sell James Robinson beforehand because I was worried that the Jags were going to bring in another running back. But a call that I got wrong is me telling y'all to sell DJ Chark. A call that I got wrong was me telling you, go sell Jerry Jeudy because we have no upside in the quarterback situation in the long term, where that upside may now be there with a quarterback coming from Green Bay. And y'all know I was also wrong in saying make sure that you sell DJ Chark, because I wouldn't be surprised if this team decides to take a Rashad Bateman with a new coaching staff coming in. So yeah, that did not happen. It looks like DJ Chark is in line to be the wide receiver 1A or 1B to Laviska Shenault. It is not set in stone who the wide receiver 1 is there. I do want to make sure we are on record saying that we cannot confidently project either one of DJ Chark or Laviska Shenault to be the wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. I think that they are going to be extremely close. But based on the fact that they dodged the bullet of not only NFL free agency, but also of the draft, they have to be massive risers in this range. And I think you have to look at DJ Chark and you have to look at him being a value at the 807. Okay. So CDE says Jarwin signed a 4-year deal last year, $22 million, $9 million guaranteed. Man, could you please give me the contract details? Like, when was that guaranteed money in play? Was it guaranteed at the signing as well as the first season? Because a lot of the times you hear 4 years, $22 million. Literally, that's a 1-year deal just in disguise by the NFL. We know that NFL contracts are fake. So please give me a little bit more details on that. Let me know the guaranteed money going forward. But thank you so much for looking that up for me. Okay, Jasper says Marvin Jones. Guys, they dodged Kenny Golladay. They dodged Will Fuller. They dodged Juju Smith-Schuster. We're not worried about Marvin Jones. Of course, they have to bring in a wide receiver 3. Marvin Jones is a guy stretching the field. No, if anything, Marvin Jones was great that they brought him in because he was a meat shield from another wide receiver like a Rashad Bateman coming in. So no, please don't be looking at Marvin Jones. Okay, yeah, JN, man, I got to roast you here again, taking Corey Davis. You know, Corey Davis is a wide receiver that I really like, but this team just drafted Elijah Moore. So I think that Corey Davis at the 806 is probably a little bit too early, given the fact that, I mean, he should be falling slightly. Okay, so also, I want to give everybody a massive thank you for dropping that like button. I mean, we have 50 likes on the video so far. That is absolutely massive. And it looks like we are closing in on breaking our live stream record on back-to-back days in this stream. So thank you. That is incredible. My girlfriend's going to be pissed that I'm nonstop just annoying her, talking about how great my live stream and how great my fantasy football channel is doing, because obviously she doesn't care, but it's something that excites me to no end. And I have to talk about it with y'all because I can't talk about it with anybody else if I can't. Okay, Coach Dude comes in and says, I hope Ito Smith gets more carries this year. Honestly, Ito Smith is someone that you can look at, given the fact that that team didn't bring in anybody. And yeah, they signed Mike Davis, and Mike Davis is a massive, massive winner. I think Mike Davis is someone you look at being a possible low-end running back 2 now in redraft leagues. But yeah, I mean, Ito Smith, maybe he gets touches. Okay, Mr. Moore says last time Corey Davis played with an Ole Miss second rounder. Man, that is really funny. Yeah, last time Corey Davis played with an Ole Miss second rounder, AJ Brown came in and AJ Brown snatched up his money. And a quick side note, guys, if you haven't been watching the channel that long, one of my worst calls ever, one of my worst calls of all time is back when AJ Brown got drafted in that 2019 NFL draft. I loved AJ Brown. Trust me on that. AJ Brown was my wide receiver 1 going into the NFL draft, but he landed in Tennessee, and I came on and I said on video, and I said this throughout the entire offseason. I said, Corey Davis is the wide receiver 1 on the team. Corey Davis was the better wide receiver prospect. Corey Davis is a better wide receiver. AJ Brown landed in a horrible spot. He should be significantly dropping down our rankings. Corey Davis is the guy you want to own in Tennessee. And then that next year happened. Then that next year, AJ Brown becomes one of the best players in Dynasty, and Corey Davis fades into nothingness. So yeah, I mean, that was a very bad year. That year in Dynasty formats, I mean, that was the offseason that after they drafted AJ Brown. So keep in mind, Corey Davis has been disappointing for 2 years in a row. And I'm so confident that Corey Davis is a buy low that I was trading mid-first round rookie picks to get Corey Davis. I mean, it was one of my worst calls of all time. But one of the worst picks in this startup draft, besides the Michael Carter Jr. pick, is actually here with Melvin Gordon at the 8-11. Cole World, man, I love this start for you. I loved your team through 7 rounds, and I actually really like the Laviska Shenault selection as well in the 9th round. But I have to break some news to you, man. The Denver Broncos decided to trade up at the very beginning of the 2nd round to draft a running back out of UNC called Javonte Williams. So it looks like Melvin Gordon is not someone that you should be valuing in this range anymore. And also here with Mike Gesicki, I can't get behind Mike Gesicki in the 9th. I mean, yes, we can look at Gesicki and say he's definitely a better talent than the tight end that they brought in, but it's all about what the coaches are telling us. The coaches are telling us that they do not like the current set of weapons in Miami, and they're doing everything that they can to surround Tua with new players. And I think you're going to expect the snaps to go down for Mike Gesicki, and he was not a player that was efficient on a per snap basis last year. Okay, so Willie coming in says Ito got cut. Okay, let me look this up and confirm. Okay, Tick also saying, is your girlfriend moving to Florida with you? No, she is actually moving to LA. But anyway, we are on the clock right now. Let's pull this up. Maybe we go Terrace Marshall? I mean, are we just going to go wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver? We have 4 wide receivers on this roster already. We have no running backs outside of Jonathan Taylor. We have no quarterbacks outside of Jalen Hurts. Maybe this is where we decide to take a quarterback. Here, actually, no. Here we take Daniel Jones. They add yet another wide receiver. Daniel Jones is on his rookie contract. I guess we take Daniel Jones. We pray that he rushes like he did back in 2019 in his rookie season. We get him as our quarterback 2 rounds after the Carson Wentz and the Matt Ryan. I know we are taking Daniel Jones over Tom Brady. A lot of people are going to look at that and really hate it, but I'm going to say that one of these quarterbacks has some rushing upside. One of these quarterbacks has some upside, be a starting quarterback for the next 5 years, where the other one does not. So yeah, we are going to be taking Daniel Jones, even though, yes, obviously he is worlds worse than Tom Brady in a real life NFL perspective. Okay, JN says Blake Jarwin, 4-year, $22 million, $4 million signing bonus, 9.5 guaranteed annual salary of. I'm just going to look this up. I'm going to look up the Blake Jarwin contract. Okay, so Blake Jarwin, let's go to Spotrac. Okay, Jordan Love going at the 9-10. I love that Jordan Love selection. Y'all know Jordan Love has been someone I'm stashing a very long time. Okay, so Blake Jarwin does have $4 million guaranteed money. I'm sorry, $6 million guaranteed money in 2021, $2 million starting in 2022. So it looks like Blake Jarwin is going to be a tight end for the not the Denver Broncos, the Dallas Cowboys this upcoming season. After that, he'll probably get cut. But yeah, so it looks like Dalton Schultz, maybe not someone you can get too excited about this upcoming year. Okay, so now let's see if we have anything else. Wes says you have 5 wide receivers. Yes, sir, I have 5 wide receivers. Let's look at the starting lineup requirements. You have to start 3 wide receivers. You have 2 flex spots. So, oh crap, all 5 of our wide receivers are starting. We're rolling out a lineup where all of these players are in it. We have Jonathan Taylor as our running back 1. We have A.J. Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, T. Higgins as our top 3 wide receivers. We have Jerry Jeudy and DJ Chark in our flexes. Jalen Hurts as our QB1. Daniel Jones as our super flex. Really love this start so far. Now, Odell Beckham Jr. going off at the very end of the ninth. I really love that Odell value. I mean, I embarrassed myself in a real-life Dynasty startup by passing on Odell in the ninth round, taking a wide receiver who I don't even remember who I took, but definitely someone I did not like nearly as much as Odell. I think maybe I took Adam Thielen instead, and it was a pick that I definitely regretted as soon as I made it. Okay, Michael says, JT got his chance because Matt got injured. If Gordon stays healthy, he'll be the 1A this year. Man, I mean, that is such a short-sighted way to view it. No, that's not the case at all. I mean, Jonathan Taylor was taking that job no matter what. Yes, it's sad that Marlon Mack got injured. It's sad that he tore his Achilles, and Jonathan Taylor ended up taking that job week 2 instead of week 4. But no, it was happening regardless. You look historically, and when a team not only drafts a running back at the top of the second round, but more importantly, trades up for that running back, that means that they have plans to start that running back. I guarantee you that. Mathis is saying, where is Jameis Winston? Jameis Winston is not yet drafted. So hopefully that does not change by the time we get up on the board at the 10:07, but we will be tracking that. Okay, so King says, someone in my league just traded Will Fuller for the 203. Wow. I don't know which way that is supposed to be a wow for. I think I would prefer the 203, given the fact that in the Superflex format, you'll have a shot at Elijah Moore or Rondell Moore there, but I don't think that's a very bad trade regardless. Scott saying, don't go to LA. This place is falling apart. Yeah, man. You can talk to my girlfriend on that one. She's going to LA. I'm going to Florida, but it is what it is. Hopefully Florida stays booming, but we're both leaving Austin, and obviously Austin is the #1 growing city in the entire country right now. But like I said, guys, I'm going to Florida because my family's there mainly. Okay, Jayan says, just got Hunter Long at the 312 in the Flock 7. I really like that pick, my man. I mean, Hunter Long, not someone with a ton of talent, but you look at the reason they drafted him, they looked like they drafted him to be a receiving option because it's not like he's some elite blocking tight end, and they took him in the 3rd round. So that does indicate that they have plans for him. Okay, RCH Fishing says, opinions on Eno Benjamin in 2022. Eno Benjamin is someone worth rostering, given the fact that if you see James Conner get injured, like he always does, then Eno Benjamin is one spot away from being a significant running back on that team. Now we are up on the clock again, and honestly, I don't even know if I want to go Jameis here. Let's see if there are any running backs that we could convince ourselves into. Ooh, we could take Devin Singletary here at the 10:07, and that is 4 rounds after his clone, Michael Carter Jr., went in the 6th. So, I mean, I guess that could be interesting. Of course, we're not going to do that. Just want to point out the fact that, oh my God, Michael Carter Jr. is going to be Michael Carter Jr. is going to be a 14th, 15th round Dynasty startup draft pick not too long from now. Okay, yeah, there are just absolutely no running backs here. The running back position is just so gross. This is why I don't like taking wide receivers too early, just because there's always going to be a wide receiver that you love on the draft board. I'm always having to convince myself to not go with a wide receiver just because there are so many intriguing options. Oh, crap, God dang it. Okay, we are changing this. I was streaming. This is supposed to be Logan Thomas. Okay, yeah, that is completely my bad. I was just sitting here talking, trying to make fun of Michael Carter Jr., timing out. Probably should have gone Jameis Winston there. Deadpool says, sick. I got the 109 for Monty, but it's a 10-man league. Hope one of Javonte Waddle-Smith falls to me. Thank you, my dude. I promise you, one of them is going to fall to you. I would prefer to see you go with either a Kyle Pitts, a Zach Wilson, or a Javonte Williams or Travis Etienne. Maybe one of them falls to you, or Jamar Chase. I wouldn't be looking at Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith ever at that 109, to be honest, no matter how the draft goes. I think there will always be a better player available on the board when you pick there. Okay, so let's go. Butthead ask James Robinson over Chris Carson. That was an auto pick. If you're talking about a real-life Dynasty startup right now, you're going to have Chris Carson going ahead of James Robinson 10 out of 10 times. RCH Fishing says, I completed highway robbery during my draft today. I was picking at the 102, and some guy offered me Lamar Jackson for the 102 and Big Ben. The 102 is Trey Lance. So I'm sitting here going, would you rather have Trey Lance and Big Ben or Lamar Jackson? Probably Lamar Jackson, but is there that big of a difference? Maybe this is just the Trey Lance fanboy in me, but oh God, I want me some Trey Lance this year. I'll tell you that. Okay, Leonardo says, does Eskridge have value / potential in Seattle? Eskridge does have value given the fact that being a second-round NFL draft pick guarantees that he is going to be on the active roster very early on, especially if you look at his special teams capability. I do not think that he has much long-term upside, but he definitely has some kind of value. I currently have him ranked in the 3rd round of our Dynasty rookie rankings over on Patreon. But yeah, I'm not someone I'm targeting. Like, I'd much prefer having an Amari Rodgers who just came off the board here. I think Amari Rodgers is a great value pick here compared to someone like a Tyler Boyd, who Tyler Boyd at the very best is now the wide receiver 3 on the Cincinnati Bengals. So yeah, I mean, Dwayne Eskridge, probably not someone we're coming away with a ton, but still has some kind of value, you can say. I mean, I'm not going to consider picking him probably for the next 5 rounds. I'll give you that answer. Okay, John Smith says the team with the 112 is a low-key nice, especially if Trey Lance dies as a passing QB. Okay, I don't know what dies means. Oh, okay, if he does well as a passing QB. Okay, so this team at the 112 has Dak, Dalvin, Javonte. I'll say I don't like the Javonte pick. I honestly don't like the Baker Mayfield pick either. I think Baker Mayfield is very comparable to a Kirk Cousins. I think Baker Mayfield is very comparable to like a Matthew Stafford or a Ryan Tannehill. I would probably make the argument that I'd prefer Ryan Tannehill or Matthew Stafford. So the fact that he gets picked here over a guy like Devontae Adams instead, I do not like that. I will say I really like the Ayuk, the Hawkinson, the Sutton, the Waddle, the Debo. I like all those selections. But here, this little stretch of Javonte and Baker, I'm not a massive fan of. Okay. So Caleb Smith says, I got Trey Lance at the 107 and snagged Pitts at the 108 in the same draft. Caleb, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, are you playing with children? There is no way that happened in like a league where people understand what's going on. There's no way that happened in a league with adults. There's no way that you had Trey Lance and Kyle Pitts falling to the 107 and the 108 in a league with grown adults who have developed frontal cortexes. So I'm assuming you're playing with children, so I'm not even going to congratulate you. I'm not even going to tell you good job because, I mean, clearly that's nothing. Okay, so let's go through and see. Toxic, it says, Aaron Rodgers' best fit is Las Vegas, 3 first-rounders, a 5th, and for Carr. I'll tell you right now, Aaron Rodgers is not going to go for 3 first-round picks. I can guarantee you the asking price on Aaron Rodgers is less than 3 first. And I know the first thing people are going to come at me and they're going to be telling me, but Mason, Aaron Rodgers is a much better quarterback in the NFL than Trey Lance. Trey Lance went for 3 first-round picks in trade this offseason. And I'm going to say, yes, that is correct. Yet there's a massive difference between trading for Aaron Rodgers, not only giving up the multiple firsts that are going to require to get him, but then signing him to a mega deal versus drafting a rookie quarterback and having that rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. So no, it doesn't matter what team has 3 firsts or not. It's not going to take 3 firsts to go and trade for Aaron Rodgers. I promise you that. I'd imagine it's going to be very similar to Matthew Stafford. I think it's going to be a very similar deal to Matthew Stafford, where they're going to trade Rodgers and they're going to have to get a salary dump back on that end, like what you saw with Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff, in that deal for Matthew Stafford, he actively hurt the Rams in trade. I mean, it was very similar to when Brock Osweiler got traded for the Cleveland Browns. To the Cleveland Browns a very long time ago, and the Houston Texans just added a 2nd-round pick for them to take that contract. That's kind of what it was when you saw Matthew Stafford get traded to LA, and LA sent Jared Goff back. Okay, but anyway, we are back up on the clock here. Okay, so now I guess Tom Brady is someone we can look at. Tom Brady in the 11th round doesn't look nearly as bad as we were talking about up here with the 8th. So I know I was saying that I'm never the guy to draft Tom Brady, but usually Tom Brady's going in the 8th round. So I think Brady maybe is someone we pick here because you're looking at pretty much Brady or Ruggs. And at this point, for a team that could use a quarterback 3 and a running back 2, I mean, there's no... What running back 2 am I going to pick here? Am I really going to sit here and pick Kenyon Drake or James Conner over Tom Brady? No, I can't do that. We're going to be taking Tom Brady here in the 11th. Okay. So let's go through. And Mason Mills saying, what does Aaron Rodgers leaving do for Davante Adams' value? Obviously, it hurts Adams' value. I mean, there's no getting away with that. Sugandis says, even if you're projected outside the top 20, it wouldn't take 3 firsts for Rodgers. Yeah, guys, I mean, the talent is there, and obviously he's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm not just saying that. I'm not just trying to trash Aaron Rodgers. I'm just saying there's a big difference between trading for a quarterback that is about to get a mega extension versus a guy that's on a rookie contract. Okay, so JN says we are assholes for leaving him no quarterbacks. He has to take Ryan Fitzpatrick in the 11th. My man, what you should have done is you should have took Rodgers or Tua instead of Mark Andrews. That's what I would have liked to see. I mean, just look at how different your draft would have been if you decided to go Rodgers and Wilson here, and then in the 6th, you decide to go with Noah Fant. I think that would have been much, much, much better. Okay, Sean says if Rodgers leaves, Davante Adams becomes the 7th or 8th best wide receiver. I can't agree with that because you look at Davante Adams and it's not like he is a deep threat like Tyreek Hill. I think that if Patrick Mahomes left, it would hurt Tyreek Hill significantly more than Aaron Rodgers leaving a guy like Davante Adams. And it's, of course, because Patrick Mahomes is a much better quarterback, but also because the way that those those wide receivers win. I mean, with Tyreek Hill, he wins off of efficiency. He desperately needs that elite quarterback play, whereas in the case of Davante Adams, he wins off of volume, where yes, it's great that he has the elite quarterback play, but I think the result of Davante Adams being an elite wide receiver in fantasy is not so much Aaron Rodgers as it is that they just have to continuously give him a 30% team target share, and you can make the argument that maybe he doesn't get that with Amari Rodgers coming in and Aaron possibly on the way out. But still, I think that if, say, Aaron Rodgers gets traded away and then people are then all of a sudden valuing Davante Adams as the wide receiver 8 in a redraft format, I'm going to be drafting a lot of Davante Adams. Okay. So Parker going off the board here in the 11th. That is an interesting selection given the fact that Parker is just straight up getting replaced in Miami. Okay, JN says, nah, I should have gone with a Lamb or / Jones instead of a Marshall / Rodgers. Okay, let me see what you're talking about here. Okay, I'm just confused with that. Nicholas saying people taking running backs too early, in my opinion, if this is a super flex league. So in the first round, man, here, this is why I took a running back. Okay, so I would much prefer coming away with Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones, and Tom Brady as my 3 quarterbacks and having Jonathan Taylor as that running back 1 compared to possibly taking a Justin Herbert, then taking a Trey Lance. And then, I mean, maybe we want to take a quarterback 2, but at that point, our 3 running backs, because I would want to soak up this wide receiver value. And y'all know that I hate taking running backs in this range. I mean, at that point, our running backs would be guys like, I don't even want to say Melvin Gordon, but it would be Chase Edmonds, A.J. Dillon, Damian. I mean, no, we wouldn't have running backs, to be honest. If I didn't draft a running back in the first, given the running back value in this draft, I don't think I would have drafted a running back the single draft. I mean, the entire draft. Okay, so JN says, the gamble did not pay off today of going 0 QB. No, it did not, my friend. No, it did not. Sometimes it does, though. Sometimes it does. We can't act like it never works out. Now, McCole Hardman here, I love this McCole Hardman selection. Another under-the-radar winner in the NFL draft. No competition is added in Kansas City. He is the solidified wide receiver 2 this upcoming season with the best quarterback with the highest efficiency marks in the entire league. Now, here in the 12th round, we are pretty much just going upside shot after upside shot after upside shot. So if we were talking upside, let's go get someone who has a lot of it, and Tony Pollard. So yes, of course, he's a handcuff. Yes, of course, it's not going to be nice to just sit here and project it and to go, oh my God, Tony Pollard's our running back 2. This is going to be great. No, what it is we go, hey, we're making this bet that we have such a solid roster that if an Ezekiel Elliott injury happens and all of a sudden we have 2 top 10 running backs in Jonathan Taylor and Tony Pollard to go with this wide receiver core and our elite tight end, I think we just easily take down the league. So Tony Pollard here at the 12th round pick, I think it's going to be fantastic on a team that desperately needs running back production. Okay, Caleb is saying, is this finals week for you? It's not the standard finals week, but I have 4 exams, and it's essentially like senior finals week where I don't really have finals, but I do have a crap ton of exams and research papers that I need to get done. So it's like the last week of school, but it's not technically finals week yet. It pretty much is, to be honest. Okay, Yadiel saying, will you do a 1 quarterback standard mock draft? Maybe, man. I mean, it doesn't sound like that's something that's too appealing for me. I'll say this. If this mock draft ends up getting 5,000 views like our one yesterday did, and I think a big reason for that is because y'all absolutely destroyed that like button during the stream. So if y'all can get this stream up to 150 likes, there are over 200 people in here, and this does as well as yesterday's, yeah, tomorrow I'll come out with a 1 quarterback mock for y'all. But I mean, considering the fact that we only have 70 likes on this live stream right now, I think maybe y'all are a little bit tired of mock drafts and I should go back to regular videos. Okay, but anyway, Deadpool's coming out and says Lance and Kamara for Josh Allen, Superflex PPR Dynasty. Man, this is the easiest question I'm going to get all day. Go with Trey Lance and Alvin Kamara by a mile. I mean, Trey Lance is that elite asset. You're asking me pretty much, would you rather have Alvin Kamara in the rookie pick 102 or Josh Allen? It's easily the Alvin Kamara and Trey Lance side. Okay, so Diami Brown going here in the 10th alongside Denzel Mims and Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs is definitely my favorite wide receiver out of those three. I mean, honestly, don't even really have to think about it too much with the wide receiver competition that you have in New York and Washington compared to Las Vegas. Okay, so Michael is saying Chase Edmonds or A.J. Dillon over Melvin Gordon. Honestly, I would prefer Chase Edmonds. I would honestly maybe prefer both running backs over Melvin Gordon. Yeah, I would prefer both A.J. Dillon and Chase Edmonds over Melvin Gordon, to be honest. Let me know what y'all are thinking. Maybe I'm just overreacting to the NFL draft here, but Melvin Gordon has not been a good running back in a very long time. Okay, so now we have 3 rounds left, and given the fact that we have 3 quarterbacks, we have 2 tight ends, we have a crap ton of wide receiver talent, I think what we do here is we continue to try to hunt running backs like a Tony Pollard, a guy that can all of a sudden turn into a league winner. So yeah, I mean, little spoiler alert, if you're in this mock draft with me, I'm going to be drafting a ton of running backs from here on out. And there are a lot of guys that I like on this board too. I mean, there are a lot of running backs available right now that I'm looking at that I'm saying, hey, they're kind of in a similar range with me with a guy like Melvin Gordon or Ronald Jones. So I'm kind of glad we waited this long, to be honest. Okay, Matthew says Freiermuth, Logan Thomas, or Robert Tonyan. Here, we are going to go Logan Thomas over both tight ends relatively easily as well. I mean, Robert Tonyan is a tight end that I had to face with the decision recently in a real-life Dynasty rookie draft / vet draft. Do I go Logan Thomas or do I go with Robert Tonyan because they are both available in the draft? And I decided to go with Logan Thomas over Tonyan for the simple fact that I think Robert Tonyan was more so a product of a great situation last year, where I think Logan Thomas, you can look at it and you can tell yourself the story that he actually does have a ton of upside. I mean, if you look at his profile, you look at how athletic he is, you can tell yourself a story. Hey, maybe he just needed this long to move over to the tight end position, very similar to what Darren Waller did with the wide receiver position. Okay, so now we have a timeout by Seth. You hate to see that. What you really hate to see is you hate to see that he gets James Conner, the running back that I was hoping that we were going to be able to get in this 13th round. Okay, so JN says, did you see me draft Sam Ehlinger on the flock too? Yes, sir. I penciled you in for Sam Ehlinger. I promise you that. Now, Chuba Hubbard here. I love this Chuba pick. I mean, that was going to be the guy that I wanted in the 13th. Very similar to Tony Pollard. I mean, no, it's not great on paper when you're trying to look at your roster and going, oh, yes, I'm so happy I have them as my running back too. But no, if Christian McCaffrey goes down, you could see Chuba Hubbard turn into Mike Davis and turn into a league winner. Okay, so let's go through. And Matthew says, Logan Thomas has a ton of competition now in a short-term deal. Yes, sir. Like I'm saying, I'm not too excited about any one of these tight ends. But if we're talking about tight end value, if we're talking about a guy that I actually think profiles to be someone that can be the next Darren Waller, it's a lot more likely to be Logan Thomas than it is with Robert Tonyan. I mean, there's a reason I think Robert Tonyan is still available in this draft. Mike Davis going off the board in the 13th round. Obviously, this is based on the fact that I did not know Mike Davis was still available. That is a fantastic pick. Davis should have gone off the board way earlier than this. He should have gone off the board for Fournette, Hubbard, Connor, Pollard, Moss, Harris, Jones. Honestly, probably A.J. Dillon, Chase Edmonds, and Melvin Gordon as well. Fantastic Mike Davis selection. Here, given the contract, I think we possibly go Kenyon Drake. Yeah, I think we go Kenyon Drake here with our 13th round pick. Actually, no, F it. I'm going to go with someone that we could probably wait on, but I really don't want to get sniped because y'all know I like him. We are going to be going with Daryl Henderson, given the fact that he is a guy that has had success before when he was given opportunity. He is on that rookie contract, very similar to Tony Pollard. No, when Cam Akers is active, you are never going to be starting Daryl Henderson. But if he goes down, Daryl Henderson could be one of those premium running back handcuffs that we've seen have success before, and he's playing in one of the better offenses in the NFL. Okay. So Jackson says, I think you go Kenneth Gainwell if he's there. No, man. If you go over to Patreon and if you look at where I have Kenneth Gainwell currently ranked after his fall in the NFL draft, you'll see that I am laughably low on Kenneth Gainwell to the point where we'll probably never be drafting him in any dynasty draft ever. I mean, there's always going to be someone higher on Gainwell than me. Let me scroll up real quick, show everybody the draft board if you are just now getting here. Okay, so also I see Caleb asking us if we're going to be doing another Dynasty startup over on Patreon sometime soon. Like I said, guys, I am graduating very soon now. Also, I am working on that rookie draft guide, getting everything finalized. That way I can publish that this month and get it over to everybody on Patreon. So no, we are going to be taking a short break from the Dynasty Patreon startups. They should begin again, and I want to say maybe not this weekend, but we can schedule one for next Friday. Not this Friday, but next Friday. That way I'm officially graduated, I have my degrees, and I'll be much closer to finishing up the Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide that will be on Patreon. So yeah, that's when we can plan on doing that. Right now, I just have way too much on my plate for me to get another startup going. Okay, so now let's go through. Jan says Cam Newton dub. Jan, hey, let me know what you're thinking of in the flock too with Cam Newton right now. But Jarvis Landry in the 14th round, I love that Jarvis Landry value. I wonder if that's just because Sleeper has this ADP messed up and that's why he fell this far, or if that's actually maybe where some people are starting to value Landry. But Landry, another guy that was a winner in the NFL draft, and that the Browns did not bring in another wide receiver. Okay. So we are going to be back up on the clock in one pick. Let's look at what running back is our favorite. Like I said, guys, we are going to be looking at running back after running back after running back, trying to fill that hole at running back 2. Has Rashad Penny gone off the board? No, Rashad Penny is not. We are going to be going with Rashad Penny, former first-round drafted running back in the 2018 NFL draft. Same draft class as Nick Chubb, same draft class as Ronald Jones, same draft class as Sony Michel. Yes, he suffered from injuries, and he's always been parked behind a player that nonstop frustrates me in Chris Carson. Yet Rashad Penny, when he has been on the field, he has looked impressive. So hopefully he is healthy coming up to this season. Hopefully he one day gets a shot, even though it is unlikely. Okay, so let's go through and Broncos says Malcolm Brown could be the running back 1 in Miami. Honestly, man, that's a decent call. That is not something that I've looked at. That is not something that I've talked about a lot. But maybe Malcolm Brown is secretly, maybe Malcolm Brown is a under the radar player that we need to be paying more attention to, because they did go out of their way to bring him in. That is something that we've seen that the Detroit Lions tried to do last offseason before the Rams brought him back because he was a restricted free agent. So, I mean, people have wanted Malcolm Brown in the NFL before. Now, that's a good call, man. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I think we honestly probably should look into the contract situation a little bit more. Okay, Joseph says he called our penny pick. Yeah, I mean, that is an easy thing to see. Okay, so Michael says Hawks declined Penny's 5th-year option. I mean, yeah, that is honestly kind of expected. But I believe he is still under contract this year. Is he not? I believe the 5th-year option was for next season, because you saw the same thing with Corey Davis this last year. Corey Davis was in the draft class before, but of course they're going to decline his 5th-year option with how he's looked so far. But yeah, he's still under contract this year. But I want to remind everyone, guys, players that have gotten their options declined have been guys like Corey Davis, a player like Juju Smith-Schuster. So please don't read too much into that. He's been disappointing. Of course he's getting his 5th-year option decline. Okay, so anyway, we are about to be back up on the clock real quick, taking our running back 5. I really like the way that this draft went for us. Okay, so here we are, guys. Our running back room, yes, doesn't look pretty on paper, but you have to remember, if you're talking about a week-to-week standpoint, we only have to start one of these guys, and hopefully we can rotate through. Hopefully, maybe Ezekiel Elliott misses half the season. Maybe then Cam Akers misses a few games, and we can just try to fill a running back 2 spot where we need to. And if that's the case, maybe we're getting running back 1 production out of our running back 2 spot, even though it is unlikely. We are always going to have 2 starting quarterbacks to go with. We are going to have elite tight end in a tight end premium format, and we have probably the best wide receiver core in the entire room. Bryan Edwards in the 15th. Fantastic selection there. I love that Bryan Edwards call. Okay, let's get the running backs up. Let's get our running back 5 going. Maybe Darrington Evans as the handcuff in Tennessee. I think that would fill out this handcuff running back team quite nicely. I think that's what we do here. I think, actually, no. Here, what we're going to do instead is I think it fits the team a little bit nicer to go with a guy like Latavius Murray. And I have been looking at Latavius Murray lately in drafts, given the fact that he is someone that could pop. But no, let's go... Let's go with an easy call. I just lost the name. Let's go with Gus Edwards, because Gus Edwards is someone that gets enough touches on a week-to-week basis where if none of our handcuffed running backs would start, we could still throw in Gus Edwards. And yes, we wouldn't be expecting a ton of production, but at the very minimum, we would be expecting some production. I'm going to actually just hide my face real quick. That way y'all can see the entire draft thing. Oh, God. Okay, thank God. Whew, that was close. Okay, but anyway. So, yeah, I think Gus Edwards actually fits this team nicely as we can plug him in as our running back too, and he's also another handcuff. I mean, what happens if J.K. Dobbins goes down? Okay, JN says Duvernay getting that starting slot role. Man, that's not going to happen. I'm sorry to break the news to you, but I wanted Devin Duvernay to happen. But given what we saw from the Ravens, I mean, I think Duvernay's kind of dead at this point. Teddy Bridgewater on the 15th. I like that pick as well. Okay, Trey Sermon ended up going in the middle of the 6th. He went at the 609. And honestly, I really don't like the Trey Sermon selection. I would have much preferred to see you go with an Amari Cooper, an established wide receiver where we know what to expect. But anyway, here's the draft board, guys. Y'all can take a screenshot of this. Now let's go through and switch us back to the regular format. And yeah, I think that's it. If I have any announcements, I think maybe we already made them outside of our rookie drafts. Our rookie rankings are available over there on Patreon. And also, I just want to give a massive shout out. We have over 250 people joining the flock on Patreon now. That is massive. I never thought that we would ever see any kind of support like that. And people are tired of hearing me talk about it in real life. So I have to come out and I have to celebrate with y'all, because I promise you, whenever I send my girlfriend a screenshot every 30 seconds that we got a new person on Patreon, and I am just jumping up and down, she's rolling her eyes, looking at me saying, Mason, shut up. Nobody cares about your little podcast. You are a small, small man. And I go, I know, true that. But anyway, Deadpool's coming out, says Ayuk for the 108 in a Superflex league in the same league. Yeah, man, I would take the 108. I mean, top 9 picks in Superflex formats right now in rookie drafts. You're going to get that elite wide receiver in Jamar Chase, an elite tight end in Kyle Pitts, or you're going to get one of the top 4 quarterbacks, or you're going to get one of the 3-down bell cow running backs in Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, and Javonte Williams. Okay. But yeah, guys, thank you all so much for coming out to the stream. I see that we got close to 100 likes. We did not crack the 100 like mark. No idea why that did not happen. Maybe I was extra annoying this live stream, but it is what it is. And yeah, Deadpools, I'm going to run over to Patreon real quick. I am going to check out your questions. That way I can get to everything. But yes, go with the 108 over Brandon Ayuk quite easily. Top 9 picks in Dynasty rookie drafts is where you want to be at this year. But yeah, that's it. And I will be uploading a video